Okay, we're live from Resturante Don Roger, and we've got a bunch of scarlet macaws flying overhead. Uh, throw it out to them to see. Probably about 15 of them out there. Maybe a little aerial duels going on. Either that, they're just headed somewhere. They're not really dueling with each other. They were just out there headed from one place to another, and you can't miss their sound, their call. So, welcome to Costa Rica Story, live from Resturante Don Roger here in Uvita, Costa Rica. The Mirador, the viewpoint here, and I'm not sure. I'll have to look up whether we're kind of at a higher part of the tide, so you really can't see it that great. But I've already got my coffee this morning, and I'm going with the French toast this morning. Tostada Francesca. I think I'm pronouncing that close. So it's been a pretty decent week. The rains have seemed to have slowed down a little bit, and it's drying out a little bit. So that's good. The dry season is, dry season. We don't know. The dry season is supposedly in another like 3 weeks or so. The tourist season starts here like around December. Depending on who you talk to, everybody's got a different idea of that, but it tends to dry out for a few months, and I'll be complaining about the dry roads before you know it. I've been complaining about all the wet ground for a while, but pretty soon it'll be complaining about the dry roads, be complaining about all the traffic and all the tourists and crowds and things. But right now it's really nice right now. Actually, it's slightly overcast and it's not raining. And so yeah, I'm not sure if he's going to be tuning in today or not, but I had an opportunity to do one of my favorite things, and that's to meet one of the people that I talk to online through the YouTube channel and other ways. I met Dirk from Dirk's Wild World. He's also a YouTuber. I met him at El Mercado, and he's just finishing up his trip to Costa Rica, and I'm really looking forward to the video that he shot. He's a really great videographer and photographer, and his girlfriend is as well. So they've been documenting their trip, and he's been to Costa Rica several times. He's explored Costa Rica much more than I have, which I say this every time. I need to get out and explore, and I'm thinking I've only got like 2 or 3 weeks of time here where I can actually get out and see stuff before the tourists start crowding everything. So I need to get out and do that. So without further ado, I'm going to throw you out to the view that you all came here for, your little window on Costa Rica. And then the bush in front, there's hummingbirds are on the little red flowers there on the butterfly bush. So let me get this adjusted. So there we are. We are live from Costa Rica, and those clouds are beautiful. Waves are beautiful. I'll check the tide table and see what level the tide is at. If I have my phone with me, which I do. I should be sponsored by Apple because I have so many Apple devices with me. Yeah, there was there's just a little orb weaver had a web across the way here. It was kind of cool this morning. Who's this? Gracias. So low tide was at 3:32 this morning, and it's also low tide is going to be coming in at 4:02 p.m. this afternoon, and high tide is at 9:46. So we're not really far off from like the highest of the tides. Another 2.5 hours, but you can still see the whale tail out there. Buenos dias, my boys. How are things in Bermuda? Ah, boy, excelente. Gracias, gracias. So my breakfast just came and it smells really, really great. So I got the French toast with fruit. And it's hard for me to like try to throw it in front of the screen, and I know like people like to see the food here, so do this without spilling the syrup. It's this is French toast with some watermelon and pineapple. It's kind of a diversion from my usual gallo pinto, typical. So yeah, this is something to look forward to. Here it's beautiful and slightly overcast, which I really enjoy. I enjoy the overcast. So I was mentioning I got to meet Dirk from Dirk's Wild World, which is a video channel, and Dirk does a lot of wildlife photographer, and he's really, especially like into spiders and frogs, and he was in his glory here in Costa Rica. I got to meet him at El Mercado. And last week I got to spend some time with a woman from Canada named Barbara, and she's considering moving here, but she was just trying to adjust to being here, and it's not an easy thing. I mean, especially if you're coming here alone, it takes some adjustment to kind of get into the groove of things here. That's why I always suggest going to El Mercado, because there's always a lot of people there you can talk to and network with. Buenos dias, Michael. ¿Cómo estás? You missed the big flock of scarlet macaws that were passing by this morning, going from roost to roost. Apparently they were going down by the beach to hang out. And you see them quite a bit down by Playa Chaman, down at the national park down there that we're looking at. So hopefully we're going to dry out a little bit. I don't even think it rained last night. It's such a weird thing when it doesn't rain at night because you're so used to it. So we just had everybody celebrated Halloween in their own way. Like here in Costa Rica, they don't really celebrate Halloween, and they don't really celebrate the Day of the Dead per se, but it does get celebrated because it's kind of a Mexican thing, and it's kind of Halloween gets celebrated a little bit here. It's kind of like a cultural assimilation, and so the Day of the Dead does get celebrated. They had a thing at El Mercado. They did a little bit of that. You know, the decorating of the faces and things. I've got a picture of that. Was really kind of interesting. Good morning, Cake Black from Florida. Is Florida staying dry too? I know you guys are saturated really bad. And the tough thing in Florida is it's so flat. One good thing and one bad thing about Costa Rica is there are flat areas, but there's a lot of like mountain and hills and things, which is good for drainage. But the downside to that is we get avalanches along the roads and things when it rains. It's just kind of a regular thing, and there's not much you can do about it. But they're really good at cleaning it up. They've got so much practice. So within the next couple of weeks, I want to do a video on the Serpe River tour, and I think I want to go zip lining, but I'm not sure if I can get Brooke and Mike to go with me. They're the experts on that. Buenos dias, Wayne. Good to hear about the clear skies, that's for sure. Yeah, so I'm diverging from my Gallo Pinto, and I'm having some French toast this morning. So what's the drive time from Samara to Uvita? We were discussing that the other day, and people had different opinions on that. I guess it really depends on road conditions and the road closures and things. And this French toast is absolutely delicious. I like with the smaller pieces of bread. You've got a truck coming up the mountain with a little bit of fill. And the road here is in really great shape. You know, you always worry about that when you get a lot of rain. You're going on a dirt road that's on a hill that maybe be washed out. But they do a good job of keeping things hatched up here. So last week we were having some spammers coming on and making comments, and someone suggested to put the privacy to only subscribers uh, can put comments. So that's what I did. So hopefully that will get rid of any of the unwanted spam comments. They have some really beautiful sunsets here. I think we need to come here and do a live at sunset. Well, well, no rain is good news. No, I haven't been up north at all, really. I know I follow a Facebook group that has traffic alerts for there, and they're making progress. There's a lot of just debris on the road, and like the mud and the dirt and things. I think every once in a while they have to go to like one lane, but for the most part, I think it's two-way right now. But when they're doing extra work, they kind of close one lane off, I think. Buenos dias, Doug. ¿Cómo estás? You're coming off the night shifts, or you actually have the day off? Yeah, so it's nice with Waze. It kind of gives you an idea sometimes. Well, I definitely prefer the rainy season, the green season, but like this year, it's got out of hand a little bit. I thought I just heard a little bit of the rooster. Yeah, I definitely prefer the green season. I don't really like the dusty roads, and I don't like the constant brutal sun all the time. Gets to me after a while in the dry season. The perfect weather for me would be like a really mild rainy season where it didn't rain super hard. Because I don't mind that pattern where you get into where in the morning it's clear, and then in the afternoon it rains. But yeah, the total sunshine all day is pretty brutal. But the dry season is good for the businesses here. They need it when they like it better when there's people coming in and patronizing their businesses. But really, I think any business I've talked to says that they just like every season because they like the rainy season because it gives them a time to kind of relax a little bit. I'll let that truck go by. The truck's going down the road here. They like the rainy season because it gives them a time to relax and they're not quite as busy. But they also like, the dry season because it's really good for business and they make some money. So they seem to just be the businesses I know seem to be happy with the way it is. They enjoy They enjoy the quiet and they enjoy the business. You know, the vacations are usually structured around the slow times. I was really relieved when the dry season got over, when it started. It's not like a snap of the finger thing. At least it wasn't last year. This is my second. I'm in my second year living here, and you know, every as people will hear will tell you that you know every dry season and every rainy season are unique. Like this rainy season has been rainier because the storms have been thrown in there, hurricanes and all that kind of fun stuff. I'm curious to see what kind of dry season there is. I mean, dry season doesn't mean it can't rain, because I remember I was I was filming my Christmas episode. It was, you know, a few days before Christmas, and I was it was at the beach, and it was raining out really hard. But it was an interesting video. I'll have to republish that. It was the gift of the Pipa. It's my special Christmas video. I did a little poem, kind of like a spoof of "Twas the Night Before Christmas." I had some fun with that. That was a fun video. Buenos dias, Kim. What's going on? Oh, and Senor Don finally woke up. Okay, he must have heard me from his perch above the supermarket there. So you're on the road today, Kim? Well, it's a perfect morning here, or what I consider a perfect morning. It's not raining, but the sun's not blaring down. Slight overcast. Waves are beautiful out there. You're under the weather, Don. I was talking to a friend of mine recently, yesterday, and he said earlier in the week he had a kind of a stomach thing that lasted like a day and a half. So that's going around. So the 30th, that'll be just about when supposedly the weather's supposed to be turning better. In Tagua Cafe, which is one of my favorite places to have a cup of coffee, is they're doing a major remodel, and it's looking really good. So I'm looking forward to that. Hopefully that'll be going pretty soon. That's like my go-to place when I meet somebody up for coffee. Yeah, so that's basically the dry season, right? You're gonna be here for the dry season, which, as we all know, can be dry. It can be not dry, but the tendency as I understand it, is it's more likely to be dry, or drier, I should say. It's still a jungle. So it was actually kind of breezy at El Mercado in the Bahia Medina. Usually, the air is pretty still, but today there's a little bit of a breeze here. But we're up on a hill, and we tend to get a little bit of a breeze here more often. That makes a huge difference on a hot day. I'm waiting for Costa Rica Chronicles to chime in because they're the ones that know about the zip line tours. They've done that a few times. Or maybe I'll just go down and wing it. It's kind of ridiculous I haven't done it yet. It's just so close. But I don't know if any of you have ever watched The Office. And there was a character on the TV show The Office. His name is Toby, and he made this big deal about he was quitting his job and he was moving to Costa Rica, and then he was in Costa Rica for 2 weeks or so, and then he fell off a zip line and was in a body cast, and so that was kind of the joke with that. So I really don't want to end up like Toby. So as I mentioned before, I set the privacy for making comments to just subscribers, so you can avoid the spam people that were coming on here. The really weird comments they were making, trying to promote these questionable websites, I guess. There's Costa Rica Chronicles. Buenos dias. So I'm considering doing the zip line. You guys were also talking about doing, not parasailing. Was it parasailing? It's not really parasailing. Isn't it like a thing with a motor? Paragliding. So that's where they take you up with a boat and then they unhook it and they land you. I think I'd have to lose some weight because I put on some weight lately. Are you guys going to do the paragliding? I definitely need to do the zip lining first. Because I'm in the process of putting a business idea together where I can bring people around and
do various things that we do here in the area, and see the waterfalls, go to Ventanas, a lot of the cool things here. Um, Zip lining would be one of them. The Serpe River Tour. There's about a dozen different things right in the vicinity here that are kind of like must-do things for Costa Rica. You jump off a mountain? That doesn't sound like a good idea. Well, my brother used to do that. He used to paraglide. I don't know what. Yeah, I guess you call it. I guess parasail is when you take off from a platform in the ocean. And paraglide is when you go off a mountain. But I've seen them out there by like Playa Hermosa. But I think Sarah Elena did it. There's a guy that's got one that's got a motor on it, but she weighs next to nothing. And she wouldn't. I mean, that wouldn't be an issue. Like for me, I would weigh the ship down. I'm over 200 pounds at this point. I had to get down under 200 pounds. Oh, good. I'm still good for the zip lining as long as I stay away from the pizza. It's something that I expected to happen, but the first 3 months here, I didn't have a car, and I was adjusting to everything. So I did a lot of walking around, and I lost a lot of weight. And then I knew that once I got my car, I would put weight back on just because I wouldn't walk as much, and it's easier to go to the supermarket and make an impulse purchase. I should do a video on my top 10 favorite pizza places around here, and then like cut off my pizza for a while. Not that I'd be able to do that. The breakfast is great. I'm having I diverged from the Gallo Pinto, and I had French toast, and I ate the French toast portion already. I'm just eating it with fruits, pineapple, watermelon, and I'm not sure what this other papaya. But I love like the pineapple here is so sweet compared to like what you get in the States. But I actually think the watermelon in the States, at least where I'm from, is sweeter. A lot of times, watermelon in Costa Rica that I've had it's not quite as flavorful. And that's I'm not sure what I don't want to spill this on the computer, but I'm not sure what the green fruit or the green fruit, the orange fruit is.
It's hard to see what that background washes everything out. So there's like an orange fruit. Back to your view.
Yeah, that's what I would say, papaya. Ed is tanto. Yeah, it's beautiful, and the high tide is at 9 something, so it's pretty high out there right now. But we definitely need to get here for a sunset and a mojito. They make a really good mojito here. And they've got a Facebook page, and it had a beautiful photo of a rainbow. It was pretty awesome. So my main plan Monday, I've got this. I've mentioned this before. I've got this really annoying leak in my car. So when it rains, there's like a compartment in the very back that I keep. It's kind of an indentation in the back, covered up with a little door, and it's like when it rains, water somehow leaks down into that through, and I think it comes in through the frame of the car. So that's not good for the car to have rain coming down through, the cross beams or whatever is inside of there. And it's really hard to pinpoint where it's coming from, but I suspect the racks. So Monday I was supposed to go over to San Isidro, and my friend and mechanic Josue has he knows a guy that's kind of specializes in removing racks and things like that. And we were going to go see him, but I haven't heard from Josue. He's got other things going on apparently this week, but that threw me off a little bit because I was planning on doing that. So this week kind of got away from me. It happens a lot here. That's what I'm thinking. It's like the bolts or whatever that holds down the racks. But I imagine they're pretty rusty at this point. It's really annoying because it's kind of stupid that I'm doing it. What I have to do is after it rains, I wake up in the morning and I've got like a turkey baster, and I go and I take it's about like at least a coffee cup full of rain, sometimes more, and sometimes 2 or 3 coffee cups full of rain. And it's kind of an idiotic thing to be doing, but I'm really proactive on it at this point because I realize that it could really be detrimental to the car. It's not just a pain in the butt to have to get that water out there, because when it rains here, it rains. It's crazy. But that's the thing. When you have an older car, it just kind of bleeds you very slowly out of your money. Yeah, and I get that too sometimes when it rains really hard. I get a little bit of a leak coming in, and maybe on the passenger side sometimes. But I don't really think it's the seals that are causing the big problem. But I mean, when it rains here, you're just kind of under attack from the rain. And I know I get a lot of questions from people quite often about what kind of drone I use. And I've got an old Mavic 2 Pro, and I've had it for a long time. I think, well, as far as drones go, I've had it since 2018, and I was going to get it. They came out with an updated model, but it had too many bells and whistles, and it was really expensive. So if you're in the market for a drone and you want a little higher end drone, there's a new version of the Mavic 3 that they're just coming out with. That it's probably going to be the next drone that I get if I can afford it. But it's a lot cheaper than the original Mavic 3 that they came out with. It's got a longer flight time, but I'm still happy with my Mavic 2, Mavic 2 Pro. So I drop it in the ocean or something, then I'll get the new one. Happy wife, happy life. Remember that one. That's the way to go, Doug. So if you're just tuning in, we're live here at Resturante Don Roger, just outside of Uvita, Costa Rica, with a beautiful view of the whale tail. And the tide is pretty close to full tide, so you're not seeing the full formation. You can see where it is, of course, but low tide is the best time to actually see the whole formation and to walk out there. Now, I got an answer to a question that I had for a long time, because out towards the end of the whale tail, there's this kind of a rectangular concrete object, and I could never figure out what it was. When I was on a whale watching tour, I asked the guide what it was, and he said it was basically just to measure the tide. So that answered that question. It's kind of a weird thing to be way out there in the middle of the whale tail. So she drove you outside with a vacuum cleaner? Yeah, I gotta work at getting more subscribers, because if I do that, I can do my lives on the phone instead of having to. I've got the laptop here, which is fine for like a restaurant, but I could go out if I could do live with the phone. I could do just go to the beach or something. But I'm not sure how much bandwidth that takes. How much? Because I'm on as a pay-as-you-go plan on my phone with Colby, and I don't know how much data that could take. And I had a really weird issue with my Colby SIM card in my phone for my Costa Rican number, and I just couldn't access my data with it. I could make phone calls with it, but I could not access data. So I went to the Colby office, and after some investigating, they just basically changed the card, put a new card in with the same account. So it was a little frustrating. I'm not sure if you can see it or not. There's a lot of these birds. They've got like orange on them, orange on their wings. It kind of remind me of red-winged blackbirds. There's so many different kinds of birds around here. I wish I could show you with a telephoto lens. I need to work on that. But yeah, there's a really common bird here that has bright red on the wings. Yeah, they make it complicated to have a plan here, but I mean, I have no problem with the pay-as-you-go. That works out pretty good for me, and just that one incident with the data, and it's been pretty flawless. Other than that, but I just go and I'll put like 20 mil on my phone. You just go to the supermarket, like here in Uvita. I just go to the BM market, and I give them the number, and I give them the money, and they put it on they give me my data. But I know as far as having like a actual plan, it's kind of they make it really difficult. One thing I have to make sure to do is when I'm in my apartment, I turn my cellular data off, because every once in a while my Wi-Fi will go out, and if I don't know any better, I'll be uploading a video or something, and it'll be using my cellular data if the Wi-Fi is not working. So that's kind of a thing I have to remind myself to do, is just to turn off that cellular data when I get in the house. Yeah, I like to be over prepared. My worst fear is to be lost somewhere and lose my ways. If I lose my ways, I will lose my way. like if I was like, for instance, somewhere around San Jose and I didn't have Waze, I'd be like totally lost. So I've basically lost the ability to read a map while I'm driving. I mean, I used to do that. I used to travel with a Rand McNally, and that was how I got around. I guess that kind of dates me, but now I just rely so much on Waze. Like if somebody sends me their address, like on Google Maps or something, I say, well, can't you just send me a pin and then I can throw it into Waze? But I did run into trouble on the way to. I was on my way to the outskirts of San Jose, and my wife or my Wi-Fi stopped working, and it ended up. I can't even remember exactly what it was, but it had something to do with my VPN on my phone. I just had to get that straightened out. Yeah, when I first got here, I was recharging my phone. I was doing it online, but it was just so complicated. It was in Spanish, and so I got to this other website that it's in English and it recharges for you. But when you use that one, you can't tell what your balance is for some reason. The one that I was using, you could when you recharged it, you couldn't see what your balance was. Now, when I pay in person, it's real easy to see what my balance is. I just call up the number, and it tells me how much I have left on my data. So the hormigas have been pretty nasty this year. So there's these really small, dark ants, and they're out near. There's some of them right out near where I feed the goats, because every day I usually feed the goats some like a banana or two. And when I go out there, I have to be careful where I step, because these little ants get all over my feet and they bite you. And like when they bite you, it hurts immediately, and then maybe like the next day, it starts to kind of like get a scab over it and things, because they bite you and they sting you at the same time. So that's really nasty. And I was talking to Dirk from Dirk's Wild World, who was just here on vacation shooting some video, and he says there's a lot of the bullet ants, in the jungle. He says you have to be careful. You're putting your hand on a tree that you don't get a bullet ant on it, because the bullet ants, I guess, have a really, really nasty bite and sting. So is the Colby app, does it have an English version, or was it all in Spanish? Because that was the problem I had. I'm really super stingy with my data in my phone. Sí, no sé español, pero eres tanto. Eres muy tanto para español. I've got some of my Spanish-speaking friends are asking me about the subtitles in Spanish, which I used to manually do, but YouTube does that. I did a video on it because it is super duper time consuming to do the closed captions manually, because I have to go through and I edit the whole transcript of the video and make any corrections that need to be made, and then I download that file, and then I upload that to a website that translates it, then I download it to my computer, and then I have to upload it to YouTube, and then it gives you the Spanish subtitles. But there's an automatic features that you can get into, where, because YouTube automatically translates it into just about any language, but you have to get into where the gear is on the YouTube channel. So, yeah, you're a man after my own heartbeat. You're probably like always looking for a place with Wi-Fi before you switch your cellular back on. But I think some people just use their phone as if they were home with Wi-Fi, and they're watching videos and things like that. But I would like to do some live streaming from my phone when I get enough subscribers where they'll allow me to do that. That would be fun. It's funny. I've got WhatsApp for my main source of communication, and it's usually text messaging. It's almost like 95% of what I do. So when somebody calls me, like with a voice call, it kind of like, I'm like, what the heck is going on? It's, I have a few friends that do that. I'm like, oh, because I'm just not used to it. Kind of throws me off guard. I'm not used to answering the phone. I do have an actual landline to the States, through voice over internet protocol with a regular old-fashioned phone, and I use a UMA device for that. So when that phone rings, it's usually, I've got a sister that doesn't do internet, so that's the only way I can keep in contact with her is through that landline to the States. And the landline to the States comes in handy for banking and things like that. I know certain areas are Colby and certain areas are, unless I'm saying this wrong, movie star. I've got Colby, and I know Colby doesn't work in all parts of the country very well. There's some places that use other services. I've been pretty happy with Colby so far, except for that one incident I had where I had to change the card out. But yeah, communication is tricky here at Costa Rica. Because if your Wi-Fi goes out, the data on your phone is what you've got to use. So if they both go out, it kind of puts you in a bad place. So here in Uvita, there's a lot of construction going on everywhere. There's a maxi pally going up. It's really going to change the way things look along Route 34 down by Colonial. All right, take it easy, Doug. It's funny with the WhatsApp how there was like very few people I knew in the U.S. that use. Sorry, a gecko went by. It was really distracting me. Very few people I know in the States use WhatsApp. I know in Canada they use it a little bit more, but the USA is a little bit behind in the WhatsApp usage. It's funny, like when I do a live from Fuego sometimes, and when you have a live on YouTube, if there's music in the background, you get a notice that that's a copyright flag. And it's not like it's going to punish you or anything, but if you were monetizing your videos, you could not monetize it because that music appeared on your video. And another thing, if somebody has music that appears in your video, they can put ads in there theoretically. But my channel is so small, I don't think they would even bother with that. Yeah, it could just hit me up around becoming the end of the month. Hopefully, we'll be able to meet at Tagua by then. If not Tagua, maybe one of the other local coffee places. So you'll be doing a different kind of driving here, dodging the avalanches and the rising rivers. Hopefully that'll be a thing of the past by then. Hopefully all the dirt has fallen. It's going to fall this year from the mountainsides. But there's big discussion about Route 243 between Dominical and San Isidro, because that road is really not designed for big trucks, and realistically that's the only way that they can go. You know, they need to go on that route because their stuff needs to get transported, you know, back and forth there. So other than go way around towards towards San Vito or something, that's kind of what the trucks have to do. So there's probably about twice a week there's a big truck that goes off the road, and when you drive that road, you always have to be very defensive, because it's impossible for a huge truck to stay in its lane on some of the turns there. You know, they do the best they can, but it's a risky place to drive, but it's a beautiful drive. But yeah, it takes another level of skill to be like a commercial truck driver driving a route like that. But you know, people complain about it, but it's a vital service, and it needs, you know, that I don't know. I have no idea what the alternatives could be. I can't imagine them widening that road, because there's nowhere to go a lot of places. But there's some steep terrain with some really sharp turns, so that makes for some interesting driving. Even if you're in a car, it's kind of tricky. It's getting a little brighter here, but I'm putting a little cloud bank here up on the hill. Residency. It's out of my reach at this point, I think. I need to, I don't know what I'm just kind of in a regrouping on that whole deal. Because I have, if you take care of your batteries and everything, that's the main thing. Because I've had mine since 2018, and I make sure to get them charged up, and you're almost better off if you're using it more often, I think. But I went through a period where I wasn't using it, and I charged it up, and you have to have it. You have it so they discharge. I think it's the default. So the batteries discharge within 3 days. And I think that's really vital in the longevity of it. I've only had one battery that it started to degrade, and it's what happened was it was starting to swell on the bottom. And I've got 5 batteries, and just one did that. And it was just a little bit. Unless you were really familiar with your batteries, you wouldn't even know it. But that's the cause of sometimes crashes. The battery doesn't click in right because it's got a little bit of swelling in there. So I've got a 0 tolerance for any kind of swelling on those kind of batteries. For that reason, and just because they're dangerous batteries if they're damaged. It's about ocho medio. It's like 8:30, so I'm gonna start the wind down process here. From high upon my perch here at the Mirador, Don Roger, Uvita, Costa Rica. And I can never see my screen here. All right. Make sure to like this video if you liked it. Subscribe if you want. Subscribe if you want to, and most importantly, share this video with a friend and let them know what's going on. All right. Hasta luego.